What is going on, survivors? We are back with another mod review, and for today's mod review we were going over Eeza's handy items. This adds a bunch of different items as long as things to build to make your Ark life a lot easier. We're going to talk about all of it, pros and cons, left and rights, up and downs. Let's get into it. So this is kind of a quality of life mod, is probably the best way that I would describe it, as well as between the items and the structures and stuff that it gives you. And typical structure review platform, we'll just kind of go around the room and show you around the room. It's not really a room, I don't have walls or a roof. You get the point. So we're going to go around these and kind of show you what they all do. So, all right, so you got two different feeding troughs. This first feeding trough is just like a normal feeding trough, but obviously smaller. The nice thing about this is, well, this kind of goes with everything in here, but there's fully configurable ionized. We'll have a link to the Steam Workshop in the description of the video so you guys can check that out. But this trough, what it does is it has a bigger range than the normal feeding trough, but then it actually doesn't, it's like better spoiling and stuff as well. So things don't spoil as fast when they're in here. This automatic feeder is a little bit crazy, and you can kind of toggle it to throw the food out if you want to. What it'll do is automatically feed creatures for you, essentially, which is pretty insane, seeing as it does it. As you can see, the radius is considerably bigger, and the other nice thing about this guy is that it actually doesn't kill any of the spawns anywhere nearby. Like normal feeding troughs will kill those spawns out, these guys won't, so it's kind of cool to have. And again, all of these things are configurable ionized, so definitely check out the Steam Workshop page for more info on a lot of this stuff. So the forge is a little bit different than the typical forge. It basically works like an industrial forge, but it's the same size as a normal forge and will still work as thatch. Like it'll still burn thatch like normal. You can, again, change the ionize in here. Storage capacity is a heck of a lot bigger. And also note that none of this stuff all this stuff is created on your person. And we can tab over real quick just to show you that. It's in this Eeza. I don't know, Eeza? I guess it's Eeza. I don't know. Eeza's handy items, but you'll have all the stuff right there in your inventory. So pretty simple. But the forge basically works like an indie forge, but it's smaller, so it doesn't take up nearly as much space. And you still only use thatch. The campfire is, it's a hopped up campfire, so you get more slots. It still cooks, think like industrial cooker, but in the shape of a campfire. It's pretty much what you're thinking, maybe even a little bit better actually. So the spoiler will actually convert spoiled meat into spoiled meat, but then it'll also convert wood into charcoal. So this is another option to get charcoal out of here. The wood fire generator. So this is a normal, it looks like a normal generator, and they actually attach to normal electrical cables and outlets, whether you're working S plus or SS or whatever, or just normal. It'll work with all those cables, but it only runs on wood, so you don't need to refill it up with gasoline all the time, which is pretty intense. The cooling box is basically like a refrigerator. It just extends the expose time on everything, but it doesn't look like it actually takes fuel source to run. It just runs. The kibble table. So you have all of your kibbles that are here, and they only require like metal to bake, basically, which is pretty crazy. You can craft element on these tables as well, and all of your dyes are on here as well, and it's just raw metal to make all this stuff standardly. Again, fully customizable ionized, so you can change that at your discretion if you want to. This is the tech generator. Now, not only is this smaller than a normal tech generator, but you don't actually need any power to run it. You don't need element, it just runs. So yeah, I mean, before I get too much further into this, obviously this is a little OP for my taste, but the idea of being able to just do some of this stuff without actually having to put any of the effort in, it takes the grindy part away for sure. So if you're not looking, if you want to skip past the grindy, or maybe you got a special theme server you're trying to do a certain way, I think this is very niche for those kind of things. Me personally, not all these items are my cup of tea, but with a fully customizable INI where I could change some of this stuff around, I'm down with it. I could definitely see myself, especially things like the spoiler being used, maybe even the generator, I don't know. The cooling box, maybe. The forge, maybe. The smaller trough. I like the smaller structures, so being able to get smaller structures in there would be a pretty cool concept. I do like some of that. It would need some tweaking for my personal taste, but hey, that's why the ionized are configurable. But they do look cool. I really like the way this table looks, actually. I think this table looks amazing. Kind of neat. I mean, I think that's supposed to be like kind of like the generic crafting station table, but that looks really good. I like that. No cutting corners with this stuff. This stuff does look top notch. It does look like it's really well done. So that's the tech generator. These three torches may look like torches, but they're actually like homing beacons. So you can throw a light up in the sky, so it's like super easy to find your home, or if you're just trying to meet up with somebody or whatever, or maybe just a POI on the map. These I really love because you get the 3 different colors and they're super bright and you can see them from a really far away. That things like this really get to me. I really like that. The navigation would be amazing. Plus, I mean, like I said, just a natural POI, like for playing on a public server and everybody's trying to find out where, I don't know, where most of the oil is. Well, you could say, oh, well, it's the red beacon out there, and throw it out there. Or you can always use it to tag your own base so that you know that you're when you're close to your own base, especially at night. There's a whole lot of consumable things to use, well, items, I should say. We can kind of go over the armor stuff first. So all the cloth armor, the cloth boots, shirt, blah, 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 and the hat, they all actually grant you a form of ghillie stealth capability, kind of like the ghillie armor does, and then they have a bit more armor than what like your normal cloth armor would have. It also does help reduce the oxygen consumption in the water. Your desert cloth, you actually have 2 different options here. So the difference between these desert cloth armors is the red works as like a ghillie suit on top of it, while the green does not. The green would just work as like a normal, kind of like a normal desert cloth. They do, but these armors do allow you to stay up, to stay underwater a little bit more. They also make you immune to things like bee stings and dillo poison. I guess that's kind of like the idea behind the gloves and the armor in general, but that's basically how that works. And the boots will actually negate some of your fall damage and help with your stamina regeneration. It looks like the big difference is you're going to get more stealth out of the red suit than you would the green suit, from what I'm gathering and from what I understand. You have hazmat armor as well. So your hazmat armor kind of works kind of like ghillie. You still get the ghillie benefits, but you still get a better armor out of all of it is pretty much what you're getting here. Thermal armor, which is essentially your fur stuff. Again, does mitigate some of it, does give you some sort of stealth, a little bit of it. Again, better armor than normal fur, and keeps you warmer and even in the water. And the boots mitigate a little bit of fall damage. And what's next? Oh, yes, your tech armor. So the tech armor again gives you a little bit of stealth. So the ghillie, you basically don't need ghillie with this stuff. You're not going to need ghillie because it kind of does ghillie plus a lot of other things. So it does give you the ghillie, and it doesn't need element to work. You don't need element for any of these tech armors to work, so they just work, which is kind of nice. But at the same time, I can completely see where this gets a little haywire for sure. You have a bunch of different items over here. So there's a tech rifle and a tech trank rifle. Let's start with those guys. So the one normally does a tech rifle, but it doesn't need element to actually fire. But the tech trank rifle just tranquilizes the target. Same thing, just one knocks things out instead. Pretty much it. We have like trank bolas that actually do like torpor damage while you're tranking them. The tools down here in my hotbar, you have some of the stone tools, and then you can unlock the metal tools later on. These are definitely interesting, and we can kind of tab out here and show you why in a second after we go through some of this other stuff. You have the rip 'em up chainsaw, which is like just a normal chainsaw, but the durability doesn't go down on these guys. But then you also have this like grind it stone saw that harvests like stone, flint, crystal metal, oil, and some of the other stuff. So like kind of like a primitive mining drill, I guess, before you get a mining drill, because they have their own mining gizmo in here as well. So you have that as well. These 2 costumes you can actually put on your creatures to make them stealth, and what I mean by that is it keeps hostile animals from messing with you. So you can just put them on them. I guess if you're going in a cave and you're leaving the dino outside, you could throw it on their costume and then go in the cave and do what you got to do. The better pike basically is going to just give you a little bit more damage, and you also have a trank pike that will do trank targets as well. There's definitely a lot of different things in here. I highly suggest checking out the Steam Workshop page. I wasn't going to get into quite every little item, but really the tools are what I thought was really cool. So you still have your stone tools, and even the metal sickle looks like it says it's a stone sickle, even though it kind of, well, I don't know. Does it look any different? No. Okay. Looks the same. One's technically stone, one's not. So you guys know the sickle normally gives you just fiber. Doesn't here. I harvest all sorts of stuff with this sickle. Berries, bee honey, silk, cactus sap. You can black pearls out of some of this, depending on what you harvest. It's kind of crazy the amount of stuff that you get out of this. Yeah, you don't need berry dinos. I don't need bees. I don't need berry harvesting animals. I don't need any of that stuff. I can just do this. Pretty intense. You still have the stone hatchet like you normally would. You can also get like prime meat from this when you're harvesting it off an animal. And then you still have the pick as well. And the idea behind a lot of this stuff is like, A, its durability pretty much doesn't go down, so you don't have to worry about them breaking on you. And B, because they harvest so many other things, to just make your life easier. As far as harvesting from dinos, you're going to get a lot more out of them too. But They do have their metal counterparts if you're looking for better stuff later on down the road. You can upgrade the metal, and they pretty much look the same. But as you can see, this sickle, and this is the big difference, this sickle only picks up fiber for you. So that's this sickle. The one that you want to use is this crazy stone sickle. This is the one that does all the crazy harvesting for you. The other one won't actually do that. Other than that, the axes and the picks pretty much work the same way, with the exception of giving you a bit more resources off of actual like creatures that you kill. But that's pretty much it. All in all, I like the mod. I do. I think some of it's a little bit over the top, but I think the idea behind it is to kind of go over the top and then give you a configurable INI so that you can kind of change it to exactly fit your playstyle and what you're trying to accomplish on your server. So all in all, really no complaints, really none. I mean, I think it's, like I said, I think it's made to be way over the top so that you can kind of rein it in as you choose to and what feels right for your server, or maybe you're doing single player. Or where I really think some of this stuff would play in is if you're doing testing on a server, like if you're testing certain things on certain maps, if you're testing on certain servers, if you're testing with certain creatures, having all these tools available to you would make it super, super easy to run all those things. Maybe if you're testing a new map or testing stats, or I think just yeah, from like a server admin standpoint, I can definitely see where a lot of the stuff it would be crucial to be using in the beginning to test certain things out on your server before you open it up to the public. I think it's definitely one of those things. Anyway, guys, this is Eeza's handy items, and we'll have a link to the workshop in the link to the video so you guys can check that out at your leisure. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.